Yo, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to the channel, Zach Lesage here. Today we're going to be covering over the top 10 best decks in format. We just had Peoria Regionals, so there's going to be a lot of lists that we either saw do well at Peoria Regionals or were inspired by the list that did well at Peoria Regionals. With Sacramento coming up and a lot of local events and online events, you're definitely going to want to check out these decks. If you want to copy and paste any of these lists into PTCG Live or see exactly what they're looking like, check out the pinned comment below. I'm probably going to post it up alongside with this video, and you can copy and paste those right there. If you're trying to pick up any cards, codes, or singles, or sealed product, or any gaming accessories, go to AtlasTCG.com, deckoutgaming.ca, and PTCGLstore.com to get everything you need. All links are available in the description. That being said, what do you think the best decks are going to be? Put your best comments below. Give this video a like, share this video, subscribe to the channel. Let's jump into our number 10 deck. Want to support the Shuffle Squad? Be sure to check out all of our sponsors in the description to pick up Pokemon TCG singles, sealed, and PTCG live codes. Kicking things off at number 10, we have Lawson Goodra. Now, this is the list, or very similar to what Owen Dalgard won the Seniors Division with, and I think that Goodra is pretty well positioned in this format, hence the fact why it was not on a top 10 deck list in a while, or if not in a long while, and it's popping up here. I'm not necessarily going to put it into like the top 5 where it might actually be placed. We got to put it in here to enter into kind of the metagame, because anything can happen at a Masters Regionals. If we're looking towards a Masters Regionals, when there's like 1,500 plus Masters. That being said, Rolling Iron's quite particularly strong in this metagame because not a lot of decks can take advantage of knocking out a Hisuian Goodra V-Star. We might be able to go Escape Rope, Boss, and get around Rolling Iron, but if we're not able to, then Moisture Star is going to get us. This case, it falls under a normal Lost in Box deck for the rest of the deck. And with us seeing Zamazenta winning in the Masters Division, with Raymond Long winning with their Lost Zone Kyogre Zamazenta deck, I think it makes a lot of sense here. This build looks really good and really solid. Not much that I'd change. Maybe we could cut an Ultra Ball for a Nest Ball, and that'd be a little bit better. However, I don't necessarily want to be speaking on a deck that Owen would have a lot more experience playing. So that being said, check out this Lost Zone Goodra deck. And if you're a fan of Goodra, maybe it's the time to bring it out. Otherwise, we might expect to see a little bit more Goodra placing forward. Kicking it in at number 9 is Lost Zone Tina. Now, Lost Zone Tina, it's going down the ranks just because I don't think it's necessarily as well positioned as other Lost in Box decks right now. I mean, we saw a format where, yeah, we do well against Charizard, but we don't really do well against Lost in Box. Lost in Box decks just made finals of the regional championships in Peoria. So we had Kyogre win, we had Turbo come second. That spells bad news for Tina. Snorlax still has to stay in because Mew EX is going to be a presence and it's quite strong against those two decks. However, we might be okay because there was a decent bit of Miraidon. Like, Tina still has a spot in the metagame. We just can't necessarily put ourselves in a position where we're like, yeah, this is a really well-positioned deck. Might even be better to play Lost Zone Goodra than this deck. However, this deck has more proven success in this current metagame than Goodra has. So if you want to play another Lost in Box deck, I recommend playing Turbo or playing Kyogre. Maybe not Tina. However, Tina is not a bad play, which is the reason why it's at number 9. Hopping into number 8 is Mew VMAX DTE with Grabber. I'm going to call this deck Path Mew because I think that probably fits the name correctly. We gained Grabber from Pokemon 151, and if anyone's like, yo, what is that weird, like, robotic arm card? We're able to grab a Pokemon from our opponent's hand, put it towards the bottom of their deck, using that in conjunction with Judge and Path to really disrupt your opponent, and you could even finish it off with a Luxray, ripping a card out of their hands, a trainer card that is, and discarding it. So you could really leave your opponent optionless. A lot of players cut Spiritomb and Drapion from their decks heading into Peoria because a lot of Charizards were supposed to beat Mew. This allowed Mew to outspeed Charizard, rip their setup, and actually gain a semi-favorable matchup to Mew, or at least a little bit closer matchup, to Charizard. That being said, this is Rowan Stavenow's list. They made top 4. They're our Hartford Regional Champion. They're our 2015 World Champion. They know what they're doing when it comes to Mew. They've seen a lot of success with this deck, so I'd go along with their build if you're looking for a Mew deck. This deck's basically kicked Fusion Strike Mew out of the format because Luxray Grabber Path is more of a disruptive combo, and it's probably just better positioned going into Sacramento. players are probably going to start adding Spiritombs to their lists and maybe Drapion, and maybe we'll see a little bit more Charizard. So this combo might have had its weekend. However, it's certainly a deck that I'd have built in real life because you never know when it's going to see success at a local level or really have a hot run going into something like Sacramento. Sliding into number 7, we have Lugia Colorless. Now, Lugia Colorless has really taken over as the dominant build to Single Strike. Now, I do think there's an opportunity where Single Strike is the better deck here, and I'll leave my opinions for that on another day. If you're on our Shuffle Squad Patreon, I do have lists for pretty much every single deck in format, and I do have updated lists for pretty much every single deck, so check those out. Even for lists that are not on here, I think I have like something like 25 active decks for the Pokemon 151 formats, including some fun ones. That being said, Colorless Lugia, this is the list that Charlie Kerr and a few others played to great success at Peoria. It's probably just a solid build for this deck. Snorlax is quite good against Lost in Box, so this deck might be placed like 7th, might be a little bit low. However, it does struggles to some top decks, some decks at the top of the metagame, so keep that in mind. And yeah, Single Strike's just not really on this list because it didn't see success. It also just really wasn't played, so that might be a reason why it didn't see success. One reason why I might like Single Strike better than this version is because it has Stonjourner. You can even up the count to 2 to have a better chance at beating Miraidon. In this case, Lugia has answers such as Snorlax as single prizers to really try to stop your opponent from knocking out a 2-prizer for a turn if they don't have a boss or an escape rope. Again, I think this deck's cool. I think this is probably how I'd be playing Lugia if I was going forward with it. And if you're looking for a card to cut from this deck, the 4th boss is probably the most cuttable. However, I do really like 4 boss when it comes to playing this deck. Zapping its way into a number 6 finish is Miraidon EX. This deck continuously surprised me, and I don't even think I put it in the top 10 last week, and it did really well, and yeah, that's my bad. I don't always get it right, everyone. I'm human like anyone else, and I do get most of the metagame right for the rest of it. However, Miraidon EX is quite good because we have Path to the Peak, and I do find that the Path to the Peak is quite strong against Charizard EX decks that are seeing success at the top. One reason why this deck is down at number 6 and not much higher is because a lot of Lost in Box decks did see success at this tournament, and as we saw in the finals of Pittsburgh Regionals of Andrew Estrada versus Jesse Parker, Lost in Box decks pretty much cook Miraidon decks. It's really bad. That being said, if those decks are around, you're going to have some pretty struggle matchups, which puts this deck more middle of the road than being one of the top played decks in the format. However, I do think this list, that's a combination of JW Krewald's top 4 list and Jesse Parker's top 8 list from Peoria, seems quite strong, and there's really not too much that I'd be changing from their base list that they have. This is kind of my take between the two, and I'm sure it's got to be pretty acceptable in this format, so definitely give it a try. Miraidon's a solid deck going into this weekend. Chilling at number 5 is Chien-Pao EX. We got Chien-Pao in the middle this week because I think this deck is quite good at the top, having some success against Charizard decks and can hold its own against Lugia, and can also beat some Lost in Box decks with the Canceling Cologne, Radiant Greninja plays. However, I think that this deck might struggle against itself. I think this deck can sometimes be a clunky pile with Pokestop ripping all your Baxcaliburs. We could see you cutting a Baxcalibur for a 4th Ultra Ball, so that is something to consider when it comes down to it. However, this deck seems pretty well built if you have to ask me, and we do continuously see success from this build specifically. Grant Shen played the list of something similar to what Lucas Zing and Kieran Farah have been playing at some events. So yeah, I think Chien-Pao is really good. Might be a little bit high roll. However, if you hit the right matchups, you might find yourself in the top 8 of Sacramento with this deck. Nothing really surprises me with Chien-Pao. It's quite powerful. Lost Zoning its way all the way to number 4 is Turbo Lost Zone Box. We saw Turbo Lost Zone Box come second at Peoria Regionals, and the list that I'm grabbing inspiration from is not actually the second place list. I think that Alex Szymanski's list, that didn't make day 2, but could have made day 2, is better equipped for the metagame. Super effective glasses with Tropius and Town Store gives you opportunities to have answers against Charizard. Raikou gives you answers against things like like Lugia, and of course Dragonite can knock out any other 2-prizer. Mew EX also gives you options against a lot of other things, including Lost Unbox Mirror. So I really like how this deck plays out when you ask me. There's a lot of really cool things that this deck can do. Accelerating energies, lots of different attacking options, and type advantages across the metagame. So if I was running a Lost Unbox deck, I'd probably run this one. The reason why this one is not at number 1 and it's at number 4 is because Kyogre has won the past regionals, the past 2 of them to be exact. So there's probably a reason why, and regardless if I like it or not, that's the logic that we're going to go with right now. So that being said, we got Turbo at number 4, not going to foreshadow anything. Let's see what we've got going on at number 3. Staying sturdy at number 3, we have Gardevoir EX, and this really seems to be the deck that a lot of top players have been favoring, because they find themselves able to win games and not really lose games by tying their opponents if worse comes to worse. Now, there's been some controversy with the deck on if you're able to finish games quickly enough. However, there are enough players seeing success with this deck where we have to put it somewhere on our list. That being said, there's opportunities for Gardevoir to see success at tournaments, and Gardevoir has been seeing success towards basically blueprinted this list for us. I think this is exactly the same list. I do prefer the Scarlet Violet routes because I think Side Shot is better for Gardevoir mirrors. Maybe Teleportation's Burst is better. Honestly, it probably just doesn't matter between those 2 routes. I like Side Shot more. That being said, this is where Gardevoir is at. If you're looking for a deck that's really strong, it's hard to play, might take a little bit of time, Gardevoir is here. If you're able to get past those factors, Gardevoir is absolutely the best deck in format. Those are the factors that are really holding it back. So this is what we got going on. I'm probably not going to play Gardevoir anytime soon because I am not able to complete games in time, and that's something that really worries me. I'm probably just going to tie or lose a whole bunch with this deck. However, if I'm able to ever get past those problems, I think Gardevoir is a very strong deck. Bringing the heat at number 2, we have Charizard, Pidgeot, Arven. Now, this is a very similar list that I played alongside Drew Kennett, Gabriel Smart, and a few other players at Peoria Regionals. Charizard EX really is powerful. We've seen the Curitiba Regional winner see success, and here we are. The deck's better. We have better Charmanders. The Ember Charmander is really for Gardevoir, so that you're able to knock them out after they use the Shining Arcana Gardevoir and Charmeleons to evolve your Pokemon, but you have another opportunity to use Combustion against that same Gardevoir, or use the second attack against Mimikyu. We have the correct Pidgeys because there's a lot of Lost Unbox in our format, and Sableye doing 50 damage to a Pidgey and 70 to a Charmander was not working out well. Pidgeot V is to put 4 Sealstone onto it, use the V-Star and bump it back into the deck to offer your opponent less prize cards, and Radiant Serena again is for all the Lost Unbox decks that we're seeing in our formats. We have some cool stadiums when it comes to this deck, having access to Artisan to search out Pokemon, Path to the Peak, so we're able to late game Path Iona our opponents, and Collapse to again rid ourselves of Pokemon that we can discard, like Lumineon, to offer our opponent less prize cards. This deck seems really well constructed, and I'd say most lists are probably going to follow the same list that we saw success at Peoria. Both Gabe and I made top 64. Drew was able to make top 16, so we were really close to getting the deck perfected. We're a lot closer with this updated list since Peoria, heading into Sacramento. So definitely give this deck a try if you're looking to play Charizard. Splashing its way into the number 1 spot is Kyogre. Despite Charizard having its Terra ability, we have Kyogre still seeing a lot of success when it comes down to it. I don't really think I've done many changes when it's come down to this deck. I still like Ditto when it comes to Kyogre, just so that we're not able to start with Kyogre as often. And I don't think a lot of Lost Unbox players really experimented with it. Raiku's good because I think we're going to see a lot more Lugia seeing success since Lost Unbox did make finals twice, basically first and second at Peoria Regionals. Nothing too special from this list. It does differ from Raymond Long's winning Kyogre Zamazenta list. However, I don't think we need Zamazenta right now. I think we need Raikou to really battle those oncoming Rapid Strike Urshifu players that might be trying to beat the Lost Zone box decks. And I think that we might need it against Lugia that's weak to Lightning type. Everything else here is pretty normal when it comes down to the list, and it's based off of traditional Lost Zone Kyogre lists. I could see this deck taking a hit, but it's really hard when it's won the past 2 regionals in very similar formats. Will it win again? We'll have to find out. Find out in Sacramento, but this is what we got for our number 1 deck. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know in the comments below. Gladly love to hear back from you. And that's what we got going on for this video today. Hopefully you enjoyed watching this video, learning more about the metagame. And as always, I do these videos on Wednesdays, pretty much the same time every single week. So be sure to stay tuned for more great content from myself for the top 10 best decks every single Wednesday and the rest of the squad throughout the week. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out and have a great day. Hey trainers, tired of having too many cards lying around? I know that feeling, and I know what a hassle it is to try and sell those cards. But selling bulk is now easier than ever with TCG Bulk. Find tons of potential buyers in a single place. You just download the app, look for the best buyer near you, and carefully pack your bulk, ship it, and you get paid. It really is that simple. Turn the cards you don't want into the cards you absolutely need for your next deck. You made it to the end. Thank you so much for watching this entire video from the Shuffle Squad. Honestly, from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate each and every person that supports our content, watches what we have going on every single day, every single week, even from time to time, and continuously allows us to have a forum to project our creative content towards the Pokemon TCG community. So if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and even leave a comment to help boost the YouTube algorithm. That being said, we'll catch you with our next video. Thanks again. Take it easy.